Welcome to this week's edition of the Dakota Angler 2-Minute Fishing Report. Well, first off, before we start the report, I want to make sure hopefully all of you had a great Memorial Day weekend. And I want to take this opportunity to thank for all those that have served and to keep this country safe and to give us the freedoms that we enjoy today. So again, from all of us here at Dakota Angler, thanks for serving. As far as the walleye bite is concerned, Friday was pretty tough because of the wind in many areas. But Saturday and Sunday shaped out to be a fairly good weekend, as well as Memorial Day itself. A lot of people hit the water. We were plenty busy all 3 days, to say the least. As far as the walleye bite is concerned, up in the northeastern part of the state, the lakes that produce walleyes included Bitter and Goose. I'd say Bitter was really doing well there. Walleye, people were still there, not doing as well as what they had hoped, still dealing with a lot of the moss issues up there. Other lakes included Blue Dog, Stink, Reed, North and South Rush, Opitz, Pickerel, Traverse, especially at night, and then also Big Stone. Down the southeastern part of the state, the bite was off a little bit more than up in the northeastern part of the state, but the one lake that has taken off quite a bit has been Goldsmith. Otherwise, you're dealing with lakes like Dry Lake by Willow Lake, starting to produce a few more fish there. Thompson, still struggling, but has its days. And then also 81 Ponds, Ponset, Sinai, Madison, Diamond, all producing a few fish here and there. Also Vermilion I would throw in there as well. And then you have the Trophy Lake Twin. And remember, when I say Trophy Lake, you can only keep one walleye over 28 inches. The Missouri River, it's been, again, up and down. The further north you go, the better. Sharp has been doing really well. And Platte and Pickstown, again, those bites continue to show signs of improving. Now, what have people been doing to catch the walleyes? Up on the area lakes, pretty similar to what they're doing out in the river. A lot of jigs with live bait, whether or not we're talking about minnows or leeches. Jigs and swimbaits have been really doing well on the area lakes as well. A lot of people now are starting to switch over and trolling with crankbaits, especially out at the Missouri River. And then a few people are using bottom bouncers with spinners, whether or not you're talking about using a spinner with a crawler, leech, or a minnow. All have been doing well, and you're really covering a lot more water than you otherwise would and looking for those active fish. Now, the crappie bite around the area has been a little bit slow. You would expect it to be a little bit better in this time of year. But the lakes that produce crappie included Pickerel, Roy, Big Stone, Thompson, Ponset, a few being caught at Madison, Beaver, as well as Vermilion. Now, what have you guys been doing to catch the crappie? Really nothing that fancy. A jig with a minnow underneath a bobber has been working really well. Really, that's what this could come down to. The Crappie King from Northland has been doing okay. The Shiny Hiney as well. A lot of people make fun of that, but that's a jig that it really is versatile, and there's nothing fancy about it. It's the good old fancy tinsel jig. So again, the crappie bite should be getting better here in the next week, but we'll have to wait and see. In this week's edition of Todd's Tackle Tips, we're going to actually talk about some swim baits that are lesser known, or shall we say almost forgotten in some locations, but they still produce fish, and they work really well, especially at this time of year. We're going to talk about two different types of swim baits, one with paddles and one with split tails. A lot of times people ask me, which one should I use? I say, take both, because you never know. If you want a little bit more aggressive presentation with a little bit more vibration, that paddle tail works really well. If you want more of a finesse presentation, then go to the split tail. So again, it doesn't hurt to have both in your tackle box. But as far as the paddle tails that are concerned, the ones that we feel that are a lot of times overlooked or forgotten, as I said, the first one is from Berkeley, the power bait, the ripple shats. A lot of times people forget about these. They come out a few years ago. They still produce fish, and they still have that great vibration produced by the plastics, the ribs in the plastic. Another one from Berkeley's power bait, the Champ Swimmer. I can tell you this much, folks. I used these up in Canada last year, and they were phenomenal. So again, come in a number of different sizes and colors. These are a great bait. Also, the other one is the Beef Fishing Authentics, the Pulsars. They came out with a new color. This one here is the pink lemonade. And people say, well, how is that forgotten? Folks, there's just so many other plastics on the market that you really forget about ones that have worked in the past. And guess what? If they worked in the past, they'll work again in the future. Now let's talk about split tails. I have a few more examples of split tails. I have 4 instead of 3. Well, the first one I'm going to talk about is the split tail champ minnow right here. Again, just like the paddle tail, these champ swimmers work really well. The other one, the gulp minnows. Good on tried and true type of bait. This year they came out with a number of different colors. So again, don't give up on these gulp minnows. They work really well. The jerk minnow from Kalen's. Again, been out for a number of years, produced a lot of fish to say the least. Again, something great to have in your tackle box. And then finally, we started carrying these last year. These big bite swim baits work really well. And they come in some very vibrant colors to say the least. So again, we're talking about cheap tackle here, folks. And you can come on in, stock up your tackle box in all these different colors. Whether or not you're talking about a split tail, paddle tails, we have a great selection of swim baits. So again, something that you're going to want to keep in mind throughout the open water season. Now it's time to take a look at a few photos that you sent in to me this past week. And remember, folks, if you'd like your photo included in next week's version of the 2-Minute Fishing Report, all you have to do is send it to me. Send it to Todd at DakotaAngler.com. And before we end this week's report, I want to remind you to mark your calendars. It's never too early to do this for the Dakota Angler Ice Institute here at the Sioux Falls Arena Convention Center, November 8th through the 10th. So make sure you mark that calendar. It's a show that you never want to miss. So again, November 8th through the 10th at the Sioux Falls Arena Convention Center. Well, folks, that's this week's version of the 2-Minute Fishing Report for Dakota Angler. I'm the owner, Todd Heitkamp, and as we say around here, fish on! We'll see you next week. And again, thanks for watching. Stay healthy and always stay safe.